Today we're ready to start some new rigging. Today we got new artwork for Lee and also for Karl. I don't know if you remember Karl from the other scenes, in a new outfit and behind a scary desk. I'm always terrified rigging desks live on stream. I do way better in private. So all I did was import the Lee artwork and let's get rigging. So first thing I'm going to do, so I don't forget, is rename this face behavior torso. We're going to rename our jagger. Oops. Right hand. Going to add a jagger and rename it our left hand. We're going to add Lim IK, and we're going to add auto blink. And before I even do anything else, I'm just going to go down to torso, and I'm going to put head position strength to 0 and head scale strength to 0. Say hi if you're in stream. Tell me if my volumes are still good. Okay, so let's get actual rigging. So frontal I want tagged as front, and as a head I want tagged as head, and I want to add face behavior. And in that face behavior, I'm going to also turn that down to 0 so his head doesn't float around and get gigantic and small. Okay, what else do I want to do there? He doesn't have any masks. We might have to add a mask later. Right eye, I always go in and tag my right eyeball and my left eyeball. I think you can get those to auto tag, but I confuse myself between which is the eye and which is the eyeball, because I think they're supposed to be both named just eye, not eyeball. Okay, so head, I'm going to go in and attach where I want it to pivot. Let's rig our left arm. And Lee's actually going to be sitting in a chair with a desk in front of him. So his legs technically don't need to be rigged, but because I've got Lim IK, it's going to be looking for the rest of those tags. So I'm going to put them in. We also may want to turn his arms. So I think he's going to be doing most of his gesturing out here. So we may want to angle his arms. We'll see a little bit more once he's rigged, if we want to do some angling in Illustrator. Yeah, with Lim IK, sorry, I kind of got sidetracked there. With Lim IK, if you put in the legs, it's looking for these, and then he'll stick to the ground automatically because it has ground detection. So I like rigging them this way, even if we're not going to see his legs. I'm not doing my draggers very good. I'm a bit zoomed out. Oops. Okay, that was fairly straightforward. Let's build our browse swap set. I think it's done. I might go in later. Actually, I should do that right now. We're gonna want his part. I wonder what up down was supposed to be for. Those are empty layers, so I'm just gonna delete those because I'm not sure what they are. Let's call this base. I'm gonna delete up and down. These are empty layers. I don't like leaving them in there. And I'm gonna put a copy of his hair in his nose. And then let's go into isolation. And we're just gonna put this widow's peak in his nose layer. Let's just see where we can slice it, maybe here. See if I can slice that a little better. And then when we get parallax, that should go along with the rest of the, like it'll move with his nose, so it'll stay centered over his nose. Sorry, I'm still getting used to streaming, so talking and working when I'm trying to concentrate is a little difficult until I get warmed up. Okay, and then in his regular hair, let's go into isolation mode and we'll just erase that little peak. So now, as long as we don't get weird edges, that should work, hopefully. Oh, see the weird little edges, so let's go back into his nose one and make that a little higher. I'm not sure why it shifts slightly like that. Oops. I think if we make that a little more rounded, it'll be a little more forgiving if it does end up showing a little bit. There we go. Let's hope nothing shifted in character animator. Nice, it's still his nose is still his nose. So now, because we've added stuff to his nose, the center point sometimes it isn't right on the nose anymore. So let's go into nose and see how it's shifted, or the center point is up. Let's just move that right onto the nose so our parallax is nicer. Okay, so I think that's done. Brows are done. Let's do our left forearms. And I'm gonna make 3. Oops. Be very careful where you drop. That's a careless mistake that I've made more times than I've needed to. I can see I forgot to drop that default into default. Okay, left arm is completed. Let's go to the right arm, so same drill, right forearms. I'm going to make 3. Okay. Oops, look what I did there. Side open. Drop that into side open. There we go. And I wasn't even talking because I thought I'll pay attention to my work and not make any mistakes. Okay, right hand swap set should be done. This is a pretty straightforward puppet because there's no fancy hair rigging, there's no desk, so it should be, I think, good to go. Let's pull him into a scene and see how we did. Yay! So everything works as expected. The basic puppets are pretty straightforward for me now. Let's take a peek at his eyes. Something looks a bit odd there. Oh no, it's just because they were, let's calibrate those eyes. Alright, so he's super jiggly, so the first thing I'm going to do is turn down that torso angle, usually to about 35, 35, kind of depending on how they move. Could even be down a bit more. Okay, and then let's zoom in on his face because we like our parallax turned up pretty high. The drawings are so nice in these, so we'll go to face behavior and let's turn our parallax up to 200. I just noticed I forgot to parallax the ears. Okay, and we're also going to have to fix up his little widow's peak there and just make it a more gentle fade. But I like the way it moves in conjunction with the nose. Let's test our eyebrows. Oh yeah, cycle frames. Okay, so in our brows, when we use our surprised, we thought it was too big of a jump, so we've got 2 layers in there, so we're just gonna go cycle layers. We're gonna cycle every 2 frames on forward and reverse and hold on last layer. Okay, and let's also, pardon me, whoops, add the ears into parallax, so left ear and right ear. We want to add face behavior, tag as head, and those can both be minus about 150. And then let's just make sure that they're still attached to the head. Every once in a while, that's good. Okay, so that should add quite a bit. Yeah, so once we fix his bangs, I wonder how we can get away with that. I think I'll just make it go a higher angle. I'm always cautious changing the original artwork but I think I can keep the same look. Yeah, if we just angle those up very, very, very slightly. See, this is where if I knew Illustrator better, I don't claim to be an Illustrator artist. Yeah, so I think if we just smooth those out, so let's go back into nose. There, so I think if it does come off, that should look a little bit better, or a little bit smoother anyway. This one might even need to be longer yet. Oop. It'll be hard because it kind of angles down there. We'll see how this works. Yeah, much better. Still a little bit. We could fart around with that a bit off screen, or potentially put it back in the hands of the artist and he can trim that up for me. Nice, so Lee is looking pretty good. I'm sorry for the incredibly loud computer fan. So in our background, Lee, I haven't downloaded the backgrounds yet, but Lee's actually going to be sitting in a chair and having his hands on the chair, but the chair will actually be part of the background. That's why I'm wondering if maybe we're going to want his hands going straight out. I'm a little worried that I'm not sure how the chair artwork is gonna look there. So let's put everything on our timeline. So I'll turn everything off, and arm one from, oh, did I not set my, I did not set my default. Sorry, folks. Left hand, let's go open gesture. L for left hand, and we'll latch both of those. Okay, so now one of each. Oh, did I really pick the, let's pick a different forearm. So they were changing, but I happened to pick the same one. And then his eyebrows are 1. So I'll do a short take by hitting Control 2. Let's stretch out the timeline so we can see that take. I probably should have downloaded the backgrounds before so we could be working in conjunction with his chair. But we'll just make sure that all our hands are facing the right direction. So I'm just going to take off all my selected triggers. We can turn this off so we can see what we're doing. Okay, so he's going to be wanting to go longer. So we do have the option of him making his arms straight out, and then they would go, so its default is 2. This default pose is going to be a little trickier than normal, I think. So we'd go 1, default. Yeah, default and 2 are the same. You might not use 1 very often. And I think, let's activate our draggers. Yeah, he'll be gesturing out like this. Let's work on those draggers. So go. Got a little bit of deforming. I always thought bare arms would be easier because they're all one color, but man, you gotta have your pivot point. We're not gonna get much play. Let's see if we can do some work with our sticks here. I wonder if it's because he has a little elbow there, and that's interfering. It would be a lot better if that was straight, and then we wouldn't get so much deforming. He likely won't be on 5 much. That is quite a bit of deforming. That's more deforming than normal. Bare arms are kind of a pain, or not a pain because they look really good, but you have to be like, all the deforming shows so much more. Let's see if we actually need to move this whole thing up a little bit. Yeah, you can spend hours fiddling with this part. Like, he moves as expected. Oh no, he doesn't move as expected. It's good. But once you get them moving right, it's really worth doing these little adjustings. And I know when I was learning, I was startled what an incredible difference adjusting stuff made. So yeah, he's a little unusual puppet. He'll be able to lift his arm up to this position, and then we'll have a little bit of play this way with his hand. So if he's gesturing directly at us, he might end up using that hand a lot more than I think. And then we'd also have the option, I think what we're going to have to do is make him a little bit more A pose, and then we'd have the option to bring his arms out here without them deforming so much. But that would be something I'd discuss with people higher up in the food chain on the project, just depending on how the artist envisioned the arms moving. I don't know if I've ever had one where the rest position has been directly on chair arms like this, but I think it's this little elbow here that's doing us a dirty. So I think what would be better is to have straight arms and then angle them and make the rest pose in Character Animator instead of in AI. Let's just go look at his AI artwork and see if that's something we want to do on stream. Like, he's pretty A pose already. It's always so hard to see once the hands are on. Yeah, that elbow is the issue. So what I might do, I would do it off screen probably because it's kind of boring to watch, but just go in and line up all my forearms to a straighter rest pose so we don't end up with that little elbow, which looks great, but we can make an elbow here by bending, but see how it's really deforming. So I think I'm gonna have to go back and, or just double check in that we can do that, but I'm sure it won't be a problem. So it would be an easy fix. We'll just put all the arms on perfectly straight, and then when we want him bent in for the chair, we will bend it here in Character Animator. Okay, so let's look at his other forearms. So we'll have that same issue where they'll go up and down, so I'll just build them how they would naturally fall. So then it would go default. And Control Shift D if you can't remember how to split your Y-seams like this. Oh, that's deforming on that one. Oh, it's because it's not bending the other way. Hang on, let's go check out our rigging on our right arm. So yeah, we're gonna have that same issue. So he is rigged correctly, but we're having far too much deforming. Even if he had long sleeves, that's too much deforming. So what I'm gonna do is go in after and adjust all the artwork just to straighten up those arms, and then when we do his rest pose, we'll bend the arms here like that, which will work good. But he looks pretty good, I think. Let's turn them all back on and take a look at how everything else works. Yeah, so Lee, you're not performing very good from your script earlier this afternoon. Okay, so I guess I've been avoiding it, but we're ready to go in and rig our second piece of artwork, which is Karl behind a desk. I'm always nervous rigging a desk live. I've only been able to do it successfully live once, but I mean, I have lots of puppet without the moving desk. So let's import that artwork. And start rigging. So the base puppet will be rigged up exactly the same. His arms are set up a little differently, and I'm trying a new experiment to see if I can I've never tried animating the pen writing or anything. I've just moved the whole arm, but I've got a couple of different angles of the pen, and I'm hoping, I don't know if cycle layers might be better. But I'll just do it manually this time. It's just kind of an experiment, so we'll see how it goes. So first thing, as usual, let's do our behaviors. So first thing I'm going to do, there's dragger. Let's rename it to right hand. Let's find face and rename that to torso. And I used to name it body, but they've started doing body tracker now, and body's kind of auto tag, so I call it torso just in case it messes up with some of the new features that is coming out. Let's add a dragger and call it left hand. We'll add auto blink, and we'll add limb IK. And then what I'm going to do for now is just hide the desk so we can deal with the rest of the puppet. And then hopefully I'm not... What happened to my desk? Okay, so frontal we want tagged as frontal and also as a head. And that's our pivot point, so I'm going to put that where I want it to pivot. Head we want tagged as head, and also add face behavior. I'm going to go down and put head position strength to 0, head scale strength to 0. I'm going to go up here and do that also on my torso. And I did make a mask for him earlier because his eyelid and everything is wider than his face, and we don't want that. So I just have to select right eye, go into puppet and create clipping mask, and that'll bring back the proper profile shape there. Let's go in and tag that left eyeball. Right eyeball. All right, we're ready to rig arms. And now I'm unsure again where I'm going to want my dragger. Is he going to gesture open, or is he going to do more of his gesturing from here? And I think we always go this way because the hands that I have access to right now just look better that way. I might go in and build a front facing handset so we could use this hand to gesture. So like this hand works, I would use this hand, but a few of them like open palm and stuff wouldn't work. So and again, we'll probably have to go in and change all those draggers, so you can be fairly casual when you first put them in, and then when you go in and like fine tune them after. Alright, I guess it's time to try and rig the desk. So I know the desk works. Let's just do it calmly. On the parent layer, the origin point below where the pivot point is. On the named level, the fixed line. So let's make our desk visible again. The fixed line. Don't forget to mark it fixed. And then origin point above the fixed line. The desk layer needs to be independent. Oh, this might be a trick. Independent and attached below and it might be body. This was the one that caused me the problem last time. I can never remember, is it supposed to be above or below the line? But if it doesn't work, that's the one I'm going to go check. So the body layer, origin above the fixed line. So let's just move it up above the fixed line. Yeah. Okay, so in theory, that's all there is to the desk. Every once in a while, it just works like a charm, and then other times it's a big piglet and it doesn't work, and I'm not sure why, but I always get it to work in the end. Okay, we are ready to build the swap sets. The arms should be a little easier on this one because there's only the one arm that has the whole handset. So let's start from the top and do our brows. Let's go in and make sure we've got our cycle layers. Okay. Okay, so I've got 6 to put in, 6 copies of each. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's that arm done. Do the same drill with our right arm, so right forearms, come on now, right forearm swap set. Okay, the moment of truth. I've been trying to go slow so that I don't have to pull it in and see if the desk works or not. But really, according to my notes, I did everything right. So let's pull it in and see how we did. Yay! Go good notes. So that works as expected. Oh, that's such a huge relief. Yay! I'm going to have a sip of my drink just for that. All right, so let's zoom in. Oh, one thing I forgot to do on the Lee puppet. So I made a lot of adjustments on the Lee puppet to the parallax and stuff like that that I know I want to keep. So I'm going to click this push puppet behaviors or track puppet behaviors, and that'll just push it to the base puppet. So anytime I pull him into a scene from now on, he's going to have all those settings done. If I hadn't done that, next time I pulled him into a scene, all of these would be back to default. Took me quite a while to remember to do that consistently, but man, don't forget to do it. You'll be annoyed. Okay, so I'm just going to turn off all his behaviors. Let's zoom in on his face. Oh, again, I forgot to do the ears. Let's hope this doesn't break the desk for no reason. Okay, Okay, so left ear and right ear. We want to make face behavior and head. Okay, so this one's not attached, you can see, so that one is good. That one is not attached. There. And then his right ear is behind. So his right ear, I want it minus 150, I think. And the left ear, we want it plus 150. Oh, he's not turned on. I'm like, why is he not moving right? Okay, so in face behavior now, I'm going to turn his parallax way up. Let's start at 200. Oh, that looks great. His mask is working perfectly, so you can see his eye is getting cut off instead of sliding off his face. His ears move as expected. He doesn't have any funny hair to deal with. His surprise brows are working great. All right, so let's try. I'm curious how the arm experiment is working here. So let's turn everything off again. And we'll turn on triggers and put one of each on our timeline. So AZPL1. Oh. Oh, I didn't hold latch. That's what it did. Okay, so that is not bad actually. I don't know if that's the angle. I think you would turn it the other way maybe. Oh, I'm sidetracking myself here. Okay, so to get everything on the timeline, we'll just activate one of each. And we'll do our 2-frame take. Let's stretch out that timeline. I wonder why his default hand is upside down. Hopefully not all his hands are upside down, because his default won't be used on that side, so it's good, it's good, it's good. There, it's upside down, but it won't be used over there likely. Nice, so he works as expected. Let's see how his arms move. Perfect, that's exactly what we want him to do. He's got a little bit of deforming, but it's a lot more forgiving with the sweater. Let's just go in and move those. So that's these sticks being too long, I think. I wish there was a way to shrink them and not move them. Yeah, you would get it kind of a bunch there. right, so that's good, but 5's going to be way too long again. So let's just take 5 out of the mix and we'll try it with 4. It's a little more reasonable. That's not bad, actually. Shorter might even be better. I'll consult with everyone else involved in the project. Oh, one thing that I'm noticing, so see how he's kind of bunching up here? I mean, that's not bad for a sweater, but if we go into rig mode and we go left and right arm, let's put that on hinge. And then, so that gets rid of that a lot, but also when we turn him back on, he's his arms will shift with his body, which is what we want behind the desk here. Nice, I'm very pleased with how that turned out. So let's try the other forearms. So default is 1. I was hoping it would look like he was picking his pen up, like, no. Yeah, and then we can make him right a little bit. Let's turn the draggers back on. We can't, oh yeah, we'd have to be on the smaller forearm. We can make him right. That's what I was worried about, is that his hand would lift off the desk. So if we go to 2, we'll have a little more play. Although that's not bad either. That's another one where I'd consult and see what everyone else involved in the project. Oh, we're getting a little deforming in the pen there, though. Let's see if we go into rig. I don't know if we're going to be able to stop the pen from being deformed. I don't think we will. So we're not going to have much play with forearm 1. Let's see on forearm 2. Yeah, like we might, if we want him to write, we might have to have him on forearm 2. I'll be able to adjust this a little bit. I think there's a kind of a weird angle. It kind of goes weird here, so you could put that on a nicer angle. But see how the pen is not deforming because it's not getting interfered with by those sticks that we put in. So yeah, that turned out good. Okay, well, I guess rigging went smooth when you don't have to troubleshoot the desk. What a joy. I'm not sure how long I've been streaming. I like to keep them around an hour and a half. I think it's not super exciting to watch unless you're interested in this kind of thing or maybe trying to learn. I would have really liked to watch someone work back when I was first starting. But yeah, if you don't know what to watch, OK Samurai tutorials are the way to play. That's definitely been the most helpful of all the tutorials I've tried for his. So yeah, I'm really pleased. Karl is just, the artwork for Karl is great. I'm not certain if this is just a recolor of the Karl that we worked on yesterday, or if it's brand new artwork, but this puppet's just so expressive. He's great. Let's go back and check out Lee. So I'm assuming at one point we'll get a 3/4 view of Lee, potentially, depending. I know they've only got 3 scenes together, but they're quite long, so they're probably going to want a couple of different, the ability to cut to say a 3/4 shot and a 2 shot. It always looks so funny when their eyes, there, let's relax his eyes. Oh, you know what we never did was the lip sync take, so let me import some kind of sound file here. We've got Karl and Lee. Oops. And then let's import the Karl and Lee 2. O3 Karl and Lee 2. O3 Karl and Lee 2. Ooh, that's a confusing naming convention there. Okay, and then we'll just run, I'll pull in my audio and we'll just run a quick lip sync pass just to see how it looks. It'll be, it does a nice job actually, this with transcript. Oh, I'm so stuffy, I have to take a pause. I thought I was getting over my cold, and I was around kids again today, and I tell you, immediately, I just feel like you're coming down or something.
With other team members to achieve results. So I'm marking you as meet standards for that.
Very good, but I just saw another thing I forgot. Let's make his face move.
You as meet standards for that. One Lee.
Thanks.
Oh. I was enjoying my cough candy and I put this on the complete wrong level. Don't put your fixed stuff on the arm level. Put it on the face base level. Top level is fixed. Bottom level is jaw.
Which brings us to the tricky one. Completes all work on time.
Yeah, so that might be a little bit flappy. Let's zoom out so we can see his whole face while he's talking.
Completes all work on time.
Yeah, it's a bit big. So we can adjust that. Jaw movement's at 100% right now. Let's just turn it down a little bit, see if that
completes all work on time and the quality required. Why is that tricky? I'm afraid I'm going to have to mark you as
maybe a little bit lower yet. I like it when you can still see the shadow underneath when it's one of the large, so O is one of the larger mouths. Yeah.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to mark you as fails to meet standards on that one, Lee.
What for? My work's been okay.
Great. What a nice puppet again. Sandy's just such a good artist. He just makes the greatest art for this style of animation. It just looks so good. Okay, so we're happy with Lee. So that'll be another thing that I forgot to do on Karl is make his face mobile. So let's go do that. So on face base, pardon me, oh, it's so stuffy. And I think again, I've got his settings open in the other scenes. We may have to manually adjust his jaw. It doesn't seem to like beards very much. So let's pull in that same and do a, oops, do a quick lip sync pass.
On time and quality.
Yeah. So all I have to do for that, so let's go into lip sync, and in here in manual jaw adjustment, I did this for the other colored outfit when he wasn't behind the desk. So I'm just gonna go open that project, write down these all, and then I'll come back in and do that. But I won't do that on stream. So yeah, that is how to rig Karl and Lee. It turned out good. I was so pleased that the desk worked. I'm scared to do a tutorial on it because I'm not sure why it works. So some of the stuff that I'm doing might be unnecessary. Some of the stuff I just might be getting lucky that it's working. But it is possible, and I know when I was looking it was hard to find help. So that's Karl, and this is Lee. Awesome. I guess I'll sign off on chat for tonight's stream, but just showing up for a bike ride. Oh, sorry, Sandy. Well, they turned out good. I actually, I would like to have a Zoom later and talk about how we want Lee's arms to move. I had a little bit of issue with Lee's arms, partially because of this little elbow bend. So, let's just turn everything off except for the... We're getting a lot of deforming, but I think it's this little elbow thing here. So I kind of decided that off screen I'd go in and just line them all up in a perfect A pose. And then when we're at the rest pose, which will be like this, I'll just manually turn those. But I have to get rid of the little elbow for the rest of them. But other than that, he worked perfectly. We'll turn him on. I'm so stuffy. We'll turn him on. His parallax and everything looks really good. Another great puppet. Another great puppet. So that's Karl, and you'll be happy to know, Sandy, the desk worked the first time. So I was really pleased about that. I was just mentioning that I was considering doing a tutorial, but sometimes I'm not sure why it works. Like the odd time it doesn't work, and then I just fart around or experiment with it until I can get it working again. But I don't know why it breaks occasionally, so I don't know if I've just got lucky every time and it works, but it sure looks good. And his parallax and his mask and everything worked good. His lip sync I'm going to have to go in and manually adjust, but I've got the settings from the other project. Great news on the desk. I know, Sandy. I was sweating. I was like, I can't put it off any longer. We have to pull it in. I was just so happy. So his arms, I'm just going to pull that sound file out because we don't need it anymore. His arms worked great. As expected, they're, we don't even have to do any adjusting. Like they wiggle as expected, and because he doesn't have bare arms, it looks all right if you got a little bit of puff there as you normally would. And then I tried an experiment. So this is his pen hand. We can also adjust his pen hand up and up. I'm gonna have to change his adjust a bit still. I didn't realize it was that bad. We likely wouldn't be on 4 very often. And then the pen wiggling up and down looks like that. And I'm thinking if it looks really good, we might want a couple of different angles. Like currently I only put in those 2 just to do a little experiment. But I thought when he's writing, we could get his pen wiggling a bit. So yeah, good news on the desk. It was a nice smooth evening of rigging. Always a pleasure to work with the great artwork too. Yeah, it was really nice. Karl's just a great puppet. I think Lee's going to be the same. I'm not sure if we're going to get 3/4 view of Lee to rig. One unusual thing about him that we've never had before is the rest pose is halfway through, right? So we can go up from it. I'll just delete that too. We can go up from his rest arm. So I don't know if he'll be mostly gesturing with those short arms like this, you know, so it would be, let's go open gesture, my favorite. I might have to do a bit of angling on a few of these. Open gesture like that, or if he'd be all the way out gesturing like this. But that we can do off screen. But yeah, he looked really good. I'm just always blown away by how nice the puppets work, and like when computer animator works right, what a pleasure. Yeah, so I guess if you're late tuning in like Sandy, you can always watch it on the YouTube channel. And I'm trying to do some kind of stream daily till I run out of stuff to stream, I guess. So yeah, if you're interested, we'll either be doing some more rigging tomorrow or maybe animating of Karl and Lee. Awesome. Have a great night, everyone.